Welcome to a special Equal Vision. Our journalism teacher, Jim Becca, was invited to March of Remembrance for the Holocaust with a very special story. I'm Haley Kim.
Today is the 6th of April, day before the Shoah, Remembrance of the Holocaust.
I have a lot of friends involved with different activities like Holocaust, Remembrance, and things like that. And plus I have a family member that died in the Holocaust, and so I was contacted and asked if I would mind going and shooting the video.
Because a vision softly creeping.
6 points at all the points around Houston to remember. We've gathered here Holocaust survivors and descendants of Nazi soldiers and camp commandants come together in a time of reconciliation.
I want to really thank all of you for being here. This is my second March of Remembrance, and when I see all of you, there's hope, and hope is a big word. But I just became a great-grandmother, and I hope that my little baby girl will never have to know from all this.
Fishing boats were used to smuggle the Jews to safety in Sweden. One of these rescue boats has been restored and is currently on display at the Houston Holocaust Museum.
The Holocaust was a time period that's really defined as the mass murder of Jews and Gypsies under the Nazi regime between 1941 and 1945.
The next 6 years we spent trying to stay one step ahead of the pursuing Nazis. We lived in medieval castles and orphanages, ending up with a wonderful Christian family, Monsieur and Madame Chapeau, and their wonderful daughter Paulette, in their little remote town, Parberge de la Tour.
And we thank you and we give your name all the honor and the praise. And as you say, give us this day. This is a day of remembrance, a day of revelation, and a day of not again. Amen.
It was a very terrible time for the Jews.
Today it's still widely studied and remembered, and it's a very important part of history to recognize and to remember.
It was not till much later that we were told if just one Jewish person would be found in any town, the people in the town would be put in the church, and the church would be set on fire with the people in it.
I think it is so essential that people will never forget, because history has often repeated itself, and it's a very common thing. And 85 members of my family were killed in the Holocaust.
My grandfather served as a policeman in Random, Poland for 2 months. He was involved in the mass shooting of Jews in a Polish village. Later, he and 6 Dutch and French forced laborers worked in his shoemaker's shop in Ludwig. Her other grandfather served as a railroad conductor for the German Railroad Company in Königsberg, today Russia, until joining the Volksturm, the Home Guard. No details known, but the German Railroad Company was key to the deportation of Jews to the concentration camps.
Habe ich zu Hause nachgefragt.
When I heard about the Holocaust in my family, I asked about it.
Und die Antwort war, mein Großvater auf Balkan, er war nicht im Krieg.
And the answer was, my grandfather was not in the war.
Ich habe mich zu der Zeit gefragt, wer hat das dann alles angerichtet, wenn alle nicht beteiligt waren?
I asked myself, who actually did all of it if nobody participated?
I
I think that if Germans could go back and change it, they would, because I live next door to a German lady, and she talks about all the horrible things that they just kind of let slip by them and let happen just because they were too afraid to stand up for what was actually right.
He was known as one of the most brutal policemen in Poland.
Und war an der Massenerschießung in Babi-Yar beteiligt.
And he took part in mass shootings in that part. I cannot take it back.
Aber ich kann mich hier hinstellen und Vergebung bitten.
I can ask you for forgiveness.
And a lot of innocent people lost their lives just because one man had the power to step up.
All these years I finally found out how my great uncle died in the Holocaust. He was a professor at Charles University in Prague, which is the oldest university in East Europe. And he and his students were actually protesting the invasion of Czechoslovakia by the Nazis. And he and many of his students were arrested and taken to a camp and eventually executed.
Now, to complete my past, I desperately needed to find a wonderful French Christian family who, at the risk of their own lives, had so bravely taken us into their home. Mr. and Mrs. Chapeau had long ago passed away. Only their daughter Paulette might still be alive. So, equipped with a wedding picture taken in 1946, signed with only their first names and no address, I began my search. The country roads were as I remembered. Nothing much had changed. Even the beautiful smell seemed familiar. After a day of trudging along country roads, I found Paulette. We recognized each other immediately. She said, amid her tears, "Regine, I knew you would come back. I knew you would come back." I could not wait to ask her what I had wondered about all those years. How was it, Paulette, that you and your parents were brave enough to give a home to two little Jewish girls in occupied France, knowing the consequences? Her answer was very simple. All she said was, "Wouldn't you?"
And so we, though we may be few, are more powerful than we realize. All we need to do is be who we are. Stand up, not be silent, not be passive, and not permit evil